With less than 3 weeks to go before we kick off our Premier League campaign, and with less than a month of the transfer window to go, I think we're in real danger of undoing all the good work we've done so far and going into the new season with a seriously depleted attacking line. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the players we've got genuine links to, assess our chances of getting them, and then list them in terms of who we should prioritise. Let's get started. Now, the name on everyone's lips in the last 24 to 48 hours is Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen. Now, as a player, Osimhen, absolutely love him. Quick, strong, good in the air, can finish with both feet, able to play off the shoulder of the last man, able to drop in and play nice 1 and 2 touch football. He's a real top striker. Much in the mould of what we've already got, but he's a serious upgrade. Although I do find it a little bit strange that we've pivoted from targeting a player like Junior Krupi to targeting Osimhen. Now, Galatasaray say that the player isn't for sale, but I suspect he is, because you don't kind of get these leaks coming out from a player's camp unless he's available for transfer. The only problem is, if someone does make a bid and the bid is accepted, it will trigger a bidding war. There's other clubs interested, apparently Arsenal, Chelsea, possibly even Barcelona. For that reason, I think the chances of getting this guy are around 50%. And in terms of priorities, I think he goes in at number 3 because I think there's a couple of players we need to prioritise in front of Osimhen. Sticking with the centre forwards, and the next player I need to mention is Harry Kane. Now, it may sound like a bit of an odd one, but after De Zerbi's bomber revelation last week, as also reported by Alistair Gold, who's a really reliable source of information for all things Spurs, Harry Kane's name has been popping up all over social media. Some people were suggesting that he could be the name that is the bomber revelation. Now, me personally, although I would love to see Kane return to Tottenham, it's a really romantic notion, and I do believe he'll return to Spurs one day to break Alan Shearer's goal-scoring record in the Premier League. This year, guys, it ain't happening. Let me tell you, it's not happening. And it's for this reason. Kane has just turned 33. He's entering the last final couple of years in the prime of his career. He's at a European super club, probably in the top 3 of clubs across Europe. He's playing with players like Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, Joshua Kimmich, Dayot Upamecano. He's playing in a team of Galacticos. I suspect that Kane wants to spend at least the next year, possibly the next 2 years, competing for the Champions League. Now, obviously, we can't offer that to him this season. Hopefully, we can offer him that next season, but I still think it's a little bit of a stretch. But in terms of Kane coming to us this year, I think it's an absolute non-starter, unfortunately. And so, for the chances of getting Kane, really, they should be at 0%. But I'll stick him in at 5%, as there are little rumours dotting about here and there. But in terms of priorities, I think he has to go right near the bottom of the list at number 7, because I believe there's a player that needs to go in below him, and that guy is Marcus Rashford. Now, the Rashford rumours, they kind of cropped up a couple of months ago. The rumours got quite loud. Then they kind of died down, but the name has resurfaced again in recent days. And in my opinion, these rumours are hanging around like a bad smell. And it's for this reason. Rashford, I don't care how good he is. I don't care how many goals he's going to score you, how many assists he's going to give you, how much stardust he's going to bring to the team. There's something about this player's character. Look at the guy's history, okay? He's at Man United. He falls out of Eric Ten Hag. Then he falls out with the next manager, Ruben Amorim. He decides to ship him out on loan. He goes to Aston Villa. He turns up at his unveiling looking like he hasn't washed for about 3 weeks, needing a shave, needing a haircut. Very bizarre. He actually performs okay on the pitch, scores a couple of good goals, gives a couple of assists, gives decent performances. But then come the end of the season, Villa are not interested in the slightest in signing him permanently. He goes back to Man United, goes off to Barcelona on loan. He actually does really, really well out there. I think he plays 49 games, scores 14 goals and gets 14 assists. Those are really, really good numbers. He was an integral player in helping them to win La Liga. I watched him in a few Champions League games last season. I'm not going to lie, he looked $1 million. He looked really great. But then come the end of the season, Barcelona have a clause to say that they can sign him for less than 30 million quid, but they decide to send him back and sign Anthony Gordon for 70 million quid. Now, I think one thing we can all agree on is that Anthony Gordon is probably an inferior footballer to Marcus Rashford in a lot of ways. So why would Barcelona send Rashford back when they could sign him for a lot less money and go for Gordon instead? The only thing that I can suggest, and I think it's a recurrent theme throughout his career, there's something about his character. There's something about his personality. There's something about the way he interacts with managers, coaches, other players. He's not a good guy to have around the place. And so, again, I don't care how good he is. I don't care what he could possibly do for us. I don't want him anywhere near our club. And for that reason, I'm going to put the chances of signing him as Don't care because I don't care and I don't want him at the club, and I'm going to put him right at the bottom of the list of priorities in at number 8. Another name we've been linked with all through the summer is Cody Gakpo of Liverpool in the Netherlands. Now, anyone that watches this channel regularly will know that I made a video 2 or 3 weeks ago saying that if I had a choice of one left winger that we could sign, I would go for Cody Gakpo because he's reliable. He's never really injured. He scores goals, he gives assists, he gives physicality, he offers an aerial threat in the box, he works hard, he looks $1 million whenever he plays for the Netherlands. I think he's a really, really great player and will be a great signing for the club. In terms of the chances of getting him, this is a funny one because I believe he probably is available. The noises coming out of Liverpool is that it's going to take a substantial bid to get him out of there, but that's essentially inviting an offer. And I think it also largely depends on whether they can get Bradley Barcola through the door, which personally, I think they will. In that scenario, I think the chances of getting Cody Gakpo are around 60%, and I would put him at number 2 in the list of priorities. And it's for this reason. I think we need cover both on the left and on the right. And so priority number 1 for me is going to be Savinho. Now again, people that have watched this channel will know my opinions on Savinho, but if you're new here, this is what I think. I think Savinho is a good player, a solid Premier League player. I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's world class. He's certainly got a lot of potential. He actually done okay numbers in his first season at Man City. He scored a goal and he got 10 assists. Assists are what we need if we're going to be keeping Richarlison and Solanke. We can't get another striker. But the main problem is that as it stands, going into the new season, the only players we've got available for the wide attacking slots are Matisse Tell, Mikey Moore and Manor Solomon. Now, it turns out that Mikey Moore is likely off to the Bundesliga on a loan, so you can forget about him. It turns out that Manor Solomon possibly could be going back to Fiorentina in a permanent deal, so we could possibly forget about him as well. Mohamed Kudus is still recovering from his thigh injury that he sustained in January. Now, that must have been a pretty bad injury. It must have been a torn quad, something along those lines, because a thigh injury shouldn't keep you out for 9 months. He's not even back in full training yet, so you can forget about him for at least the first month of the season. Obviously, Dejan Kulusevski, he's back in full training, which is amazing, but he's been out for over a year with a serious knee injury. Again, you can forget about him for the first couple of games of the season, probably the first month. Wilson Odobert, I don't think he's a great player anyway, but he's out with an ACL or a knee injury. We're not going to see him for a few months. And so as it stands, we are desperately short in those wide attacking positions, and we need reinforcements really, really urgently. Savinho can play equally as well off the left and off the right, and it's for that adaptability. That's the reason why I think Savinho should be the absolute priority signing this summer, and we should go after this geezer really, really hard. Now, what is quite odd is that Man City have recently come out, from what I can find, and said that we haven't even made an opening offer for Savinho. So that's very, very strange. I mean, maybe De Zerbi isn't as keen on the player as we're led to believe. I'm not sure. But in the situation we find ourselves, I think getting Savinho and Gakpo, if that's the end of our business for the summer, I would call that a job well done. And so I think we really, really need to prioritise those 2 players. Now, another player that we've been loosely linked with, but his name's cropped up from time to time and it hasn't really gone away, is Ferran Torres of Barcelona and Spain. Now, Torres is a funny one because you're probably going to call me mad. I don't think he's an amazing player. I think he's a very good player. He's certainly not world class in my opinion, but obviously he plays for Barcelona. He's done well there. Just scored the winning goal in the World Cup final for Spain. He's obviously a very good player. You don't get into those teams unless you're some player. He can play left, centre and on the right. Very adaptable, very versatile. Exactly what we need actually. But the problem with Ferran Torres is this. He's got a year left on his Barcelona contract. It sounds like he wants to go back into negotiations to try and extend that deal. And if that doesn't come off, it sounds like PSG will be his next destination. And it's for that reason that I basically don't think we've got any chance whatsoever of signing him. We can't offer him European football, let alone the Champions League. And for a player of that calibre, at that stage of his career, with his stock very, very high at the moment, if he's going to leave one super club, he's going to want to go to another one. And so for that reason, I think the chances of signing Ferran Torres probably around 10%, stranger things have happened, but I'll put him at number 6 in terms of priorities. Now, the final 2 players I want to talk about are actually midfielders because it transpires that James Maddison is still struggling with niggling injuries on his return from that big ACL injury that he had last season. Now, you guys saw it in the last game of the season against Everton. his physicality, his running power, his strength, his ability to compete in the middle of the park in the Premier League just isn't there at the moment. Now, there's never going to be a problem with Maddison on the ball because when he made his little cameo appearances in a couple of games before that, he looked great because we were just giving him the ball, we were on the attack. He looked great. He plays with style, he plays with grace. We know how great a player that Maddison is. But it's without the ball that's a problem, and we can't afford to carry passengers in the first few games of the season if we want to get off to the start that we want to get off to and the start we need to get off to if we want to get right up the league and into those European places. And so for that reason, another name that's been cropping up all through the summer and last summer is Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, Gibbs-White as a player, absolutely love him. I think he's got really great drive, leadership, determination. He never stops running. He's got real quality on the ball. He's a goal scorer. He can create. He's a top player. I think he'd slot in absolutely perfectly in a Roberto De Zerbi system. The problem with Morgan Gibbs-White is this. Elliot Anderson has just gone from Nottingham Forest to Man City in a deal with reportedly worth 117 million quid. Now, make no mistake about it, Gibbs-White is Forest's best player. And so if you want to get Gibbs-White out of Forest, and don't forget he signed a new deal last year as well, so he's on a long contract, you're talking well north of 115, 120 million quid. Do we want to spend that sort of money at this stage of the transfer window? How much do we have left in the kitty? I don't know. Hopefully some outgoings will pump that up a little bit, Romero and Vicario. But is he worth the money? In today's market, you'd have to say yes. Would he fit into the team? Absolutely yes. But do we have a good chance of signing him? Probably not. In terms of the chances of getting Gibbs-White, I'm going to say around 20%. 'Cause like I say, I think it would be very difficult to get him out of there. And I'm going to put him at number 4 on the list of priorities. The last name I want to talk about is another guy in the Premier League who I think would be a really great addition to the team. And actually, I think he's a ready-made Spurs player. He plays with flair. He plays with style. He can go past people in the middle of the park. He nicks a few goals. He's creative. He's got a little bit of nasty about him. He leaves his studs in. And I love that about a player. That guy is Alex Scott from Bournemouth. But in a similar scenario to Morgan Gibbs-White, number 1, Bournemouth say he's not for sale at any price. And number 2, he probably is for sale. But to get him out of there, you're talking 100 million quid. Now, at this stage of Alex Scott's career, is he worth 100 million quid? Even in today's market, I would probably say not quite, but he's a really great prospect for the future. Like I say, I think he would slot in perfectly at Spurs. He's a Spurs fan, apparently, so it's the perfect signing. Should we go after him? Maybe. Now, in terms of our chances of getting Alex Scott, I think they're similar to Gibbs-White. I think around 20%, he possibly could be available. He probably isn't, and he's going to cost a lot of money. And so therefore, I'm going to put him one place below Gibbs-White on the list of priorities at number 5. And so there you have it. That's the list of players I think we need to prioritise before the end of this transfer window. And ideally this week, we need to really push for deals because we're getting very close to that Premier League kickoff. And as it stands, we're going to start the season with a very, very depleted attacking line. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, if we can at least get Savinho and possibly Gakpo over the line in this window, I'll be more than happy with that. Richarlison and Solanke, okay, not ideal that we're not upgrading in that area, but we've always got the January window, we've always got next summer, and I think with the defence that De Zerbi's built, obviously the midfield strengthening, if we could get those 2 wide players and then wait for our other players to come back, Kudus, Kulusevski, then we could be looking really, really strong by week 3 or week 4 of the Premier League season. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the board and De Zerbi can come up with. They've done really well so far, so we don't want to lose the momentum now. And until then, until the next video, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.